Hello, I'm Archana Pai Kulkarni, and I welcome you all to SheThePeople TV's Mental Health Summit Reframe 2023. Our topic for today's discussion is self care for the carer. Today, we have on our panel three very special guests who know what it takes to be a caregiver and how to navigate this challenging path. Smita Sahay. An ISB alumna, Smita Sahay is the editor in chief of Usawa Literary Review, the poetry editor for Speak, the magazine, visiting faculty of creative writing at Whistling Woods International. Her works have appeared in national and international journals, newspapers, and anthologies. Smita is a survivor of clinical depression, anxiety, and CPTSD. She's also the founder and therapist at Calm Space Healing, a trauma informed therapy and healing practice. Dedicated to empowering lives across the globe, Vasundhara Talware, who holds a master's in management, is a yoga teacher and yoga psychologist, internationally certified life coach from International Coaching Federation, and internationally trained trainer and facilitator, a certified NLP and Gestalt practitioner and international speaker. She runs an NGO, Sri Saraswati Foundation for Underprivileged Children. In her own words, she's all about making spirituality sexy and self love sacred with her knowledge of Vedas, yoga, and ontology. Currently heading the vocational center at Sundarji Institute of Special School, Pune, Dr. Vinamrata Bhatia holds a doctorate in biochemistry. She changed direction when her son was diagnosed as neurodivergent and became fully involved not only in caring for him, but also educating herself to address his special needs. Soon, she began teaching and counseling and guiding children with special needs. Vinamrata is an award winning special educator, counselor, and teacher dedicated to helping children achieve their goals. Welcome to this panel discussion, Vinamrata, Vasundhara, and Smita. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you
Uh,
so much.
if I may, I'd like to begin with some sharing. There is a memory that I have. A few years ago, when my son used to go to school and I used to take him to the bus stop, I would meet another mother who would come with her two sons who were in wheelchairs, and both of them were specially abled. They had cerebral palsy, and one day, we made small talk, and one day I was at the doctor's, and the door of his cabin was half open, and I heard a woman's voice, a very familiar voice, telling the doctor in Marathi, "Majachane आता होत नाही." That meant that I just can't go on. And it was this friend, this bus stop friend of mine, and it that's when it hit me how exacting caregiving can be. I did not have that awareness then, and I regret that I never asked after her. I didn't take her out for coffee, or I had absolutely no idea how to behave or how to interact with somebody who is specially abled. I didn't know it then, and that memory has stayed with me today, till today. So, Vinamrata, let me begin with you. You had a brilliant career, and when your son was diagnosed as neurodivergent, things changed 360 degrees. So, what was your initial reaction, and how did you steady yourself?
Like anybody, Archana, like anyone, like my whole everything was shattered. My
Hmm,
whole world was turned upside down,
hmm,
and I couldn't calm down. It was not settled in a day or two. It took me 2 to 3 years to settle down, and it was a very difficult phase at that time. I was at my peak of my career, and along with that, my son was diagnosed with autism.
hmm.
Handling so much pressure, it was very difficult at that time, really.
I empathize with you. Yes. So,
And
what helped
and
you? What helped you?
my actually, I am a person of prioritizing everything. Like I keep on, I am a well organized person since childhood. So I prioritize. I think a lot for all the things. I prioritize all the things. I make my work list and I work accordingly. I can't work in a pressure. So I
Hmm,
start working on those things which are my priorities at that time.
hmm, hmm,
So at that time, my son was my priority. So I started working on that thing first.
Okay.
And
It must have been very tough. I understand.
yes.
Smita, caregiving, like Vinamrata said, can actually hit you like a bolt from the blue. And the person may have to jump in almost overnight and hit the ground running. So in these daunting circumstances, trauma is inevitable. So the first reaction could be, why me? So how can they change this self-talk?
See, the why me is inevitable. It will always happen
Hmm,
because we are taught to look at life as something that we plan on a day to day, hour to hour, week to week, year to year basis, and it's supposed to go like that, and it never does. Sometimes
hmm,
for good reasons, sometimes for bearably bad reasons, and sometimes with these absolutely tumultuous realities. Now, the thing about life is that there is no amplitude of
hmm,
problems, that anybody has promised that, the problems will be below this level or within these levels. So,
hmm,
of course,
hmm.
the first, we are all very good at jumping into action during crises, usually. So, it's after that that the trauma hits, you know after you've done saving the day or whatever, that the realization hits. So in my opinion, the most important thing is to allow yourself to feel that life as you knew has been shattered, because anyway, what is life? Life is changing in every moment, and we need to allow ourselves to grieve,
Hmm.
you
That's so
know
important. Yes.
Absolutely. The grief, there's nothing, grief is not supposed to be this emotion that we always push to the back, hide behind all our real. Grief is a reality of life. When we
Hmm,
grow up, when, even birth is it's a process of trauma. I mean, there are
hmm.
so many papers written about the trauma of birth, and the mother would go into postpartum depression, which is basically grieving for
Yes.
the baby in the womb. So, with every change in our lives, it's very important for us to able to say that, all right, things have changed, and if it makes you cry, if it makes you break down, allow yourself, because that is being human. There's no
Yes.
point resisting it. That is being, and the grief basically means that there's love. See, there was
Hmm.
love for you, for your career, for life as it was. So there was some beauty. There was something that you cherished. But we can't be certain that everything is gone. Maybe something will come out.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
one is to be able to grieve, to basically to give yourself the permission to grieve. We don't permit ourselves to grieve. We want to be strong all the time. We don't have to be.
Thank you for that, Smita. And let me go to Vasundhara now. Vasundhara, as is evident, a caregiver requires immense reserves of strength, both physical and mental. They have to be tough because they have to go through the unpredictable throughout the day. So, what does yoga say? How should such a person begin their day? Because they have to actually fortify themselves. So, can you give us some advice?
Yes, as caregivers, and I also am a part of them, we have to first give ourselves the love that we want to offer out there. So, as part of that self love, and like I said,
Hmm,
self love is sexy and sacred. So,
hmm,
it starts with, are you sleeping well? Are
hmm,
you waking up with positive affirmations, with a spring in your step, and looking forward to serve the ones that you are serving? Are you
hmm.
eating well? Are you thinking positive thoughts? What are you, in terms of messages, exposing yourselves throughout the day? And what are your internal messages to yourself? There might be a dozen or thousand messages out there, depending on the trauma, the pain, the grief, all those emotions that you exposed to. But what is your internal dialogue? And all this is yoga. It's not just a practice that you do on a mat, but it begins and ends with how you live your life and what is it that your connection with your own self is, which then gives you the strength to be out there and serve humanity. So it all begins with you.
But as you say, in say normal circumstances, okay, I mean, we all have our highs and lows, but these are special circumstances. So you may not actually be looking forward to that day, right? So what I meant to ask you is, what does such a person do when the person is not looking forward to it really? Because it is a sapping thing, right? Every day they know what challenges are going to come up. So what kind of morning practices or rituals? I mean, we have to do something. We have to take some action, right? Even this interiority that you say will take some time to change. So, how can they begin their day? Are there any practices that you would suggest?
Sure. To be more specific on the practices, there
Hmm,
can be asan practice, some
hmm,
asanas that open up your body and your heart, opens up your heart center, that allows you to be more loving and kind and offer yourself in surrender to the service that you are wanting to offer. Then you can have pranayams as part of your practice, which controls and balances your mind
hmm,
and your breaths. And when you are in that space of balance, it allows you to be out there and not get tied up with the internal state of mind that you are dealing with. And when I say, uh, and like you said, a caregiver is going to feel sapped and they're not looking forward to the day ahead. That also needs to be addressed. And that is where the yoga psychology comes into practice. So just the
okay.
daily affirmations, simple, as soon as one gets up, before they get on to their asan practice, their pranayam practice, and the meditation, the third practice that I would recommend, simply affirming that I look forward to make a change in all the souls that I come across through the day. Bring a smile on somebody's face through the day. As simple as that, as small as one can be without making it too daunting on oneself, and um just being in that flow so that this intention then creates one's mindset to face the reality with peace in heart, or with the with a cheer in one's heart. That's it's very impactful, these affirmations. So as simple as I look forward to the day, I look forward to bringing a smile on someone's face, and nothing replaces meditation. The calm that one can experience through meditation of just 5 minutes sitting in silence, focusing on the breath, bringing the mind in tune with one's body and sensing what's going on. It's just that 5 minutes silence can fuel the 24 hours. So
Lovely.
highly recommend doing that.
Lovely. That brings me to Vinamrata. Vinamrata, now that Vasundhara has given us this tip, I want to know, are you able to start your day with this? Because every single day you have to tell yourself, right? Like, I have to give my best. So what is your morning practice?
The same, I am following the same practices, pranayam along with meditation.
Hmm.
And I know I don't have to work with only one child. I have to work with many children because I am
Yes.
handling a full vocational block. So I want to see a smile on their faces. So whenever I'm sleeping, I'm going with that thought in my mind, and the next day I'm getting up with the same thought. I have to bring smile on all of their faces. So the same practices I need to follow, and I am following those practices since long. The day I started working with my son, I am following because this can keep us in a good state of mind.
Hmm. So you have found joy in giving. That's
Exactly.
that's what keeps you going.
Yes.
Smita, I'd like to ask you, this is a wonderful value. Giving is a wonderful value, and we all our scriptures talk about seva, and no doubt it is a wonderful practice. But there is sometimes this glorification. They talk to us about the nobility of it, but not everyone may be up to it. When you do this day in and day out, something's got to give. What do you have to say about this?
I'm quite wary of this nobility
Hmm.
because in my practice as a somatic therapist and in my own healing journey from complex PTSD, um, I have realized that the two emotions which go usually unprocessed because we have not been culturally taught to process them,
Hmm.
and they kind of pile up, and these two emotions are shame and guilt.
Yes. Yes.
And the problem with nobility, the problem with projecting nobility on somebody is sort of taking away their humanity from them, refusing to give them the luxury to, um, like you told about your bus stop friend when one day she said that I just can't go on. That is such a human thing to say. But we don't allow ourselves that luxury. And it's not even a luxury. It's simply saying that, I have so many resources, so much of resources, and I'm sapped out.
Hmm.
So I have realized that, through, so my, I went through talk therapy, I went through, I am on medication, but somatic therapy helps me a lot. So grounding is an exercise wherein we just allow ourselves to ground ourselves within a moment. We place our feet firmly on the ground. We allow ourselves to feel that sensation of touch between the soles of our feet and the earth. It basically brings us back into our body, our embodied self, and that sort of immediately takes you away from either catastrophizing your future or being overly depressed about the past, and it brings you into the present.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the moment we come into the present, somehow some of the problems that we were facing, which seemed so daunting, may sort of fall into perspective, and they
Hmm.
don't seem so scary anymore, right? And the other thing is, I will probably, in the course of our discussion, I will tell you how we can process anger and fear and
Hmm.
shame and guilt,
Yes. Yes.
because these are very powerful emotions. There's nothing good or bad about emotions. Emotions are just giving us invaluable intelligence about ourselves.
Hmm.
So we need to learn to be able to label them correctly, find their sources, see how they work, and then be able to judge whether they are telling us the fact of life or it's coming because of our past, and then respond to it.
Okay. That's a very valuable insight. And Vasundhara, self pity can be an overriding emotion. I mean, we have so many emotions coming up as caregivers, and you are an advocate of self compassion and self love. So, how can we move from self pity to self love?
That's a wonderful question. So, first step is to acknowledge that one is feeling self pity. Just acknowledge. The second step is to accept that this is how I'm feeling. And the third step is to embrace it, that this is me. In this moment, I am feeling this. And then eventually, when you accept the way you are right now, is when you can transition to another emotion. Turn it, embrace it, feel it, and move on to the next one, which could be as simple as willingness to step out of self pity. As simple as that. And when that willingness surfaces, that yes, I have felt this, I've turned it, been in it, that willingness will help you snap out of the self pity mode and then show you what next. All right, what is it that I can do? So these are the three very primary, very important, basic steps. So one forgets and pushes it under the carpet and wants to, like Smita also said, that there's a lot of shame attached to feeling this way or certain way, and mm, and therefore the whole guilt and all the negative other feelings just tie up and become too much to handle, which is where just accept you're human and then move on. What can I do?
Both of you have spoken about being in the present, but I remember having a conversation with Vinamrata where she was genuinely worried about her son's future. And when you are giving care, you also have to think about practical things. She said, after me, what do, and only when you address that do you feel better inside. So Vinamrata, when you know, I mean, you know that your loved one is dependent on you, so what steps have you taken to assuage your fears and anxieties about the future? Because you can't be dealing with the present without taking these steps, right? Even though everyone tells you to be in the present moment, there are some practical things to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, so again, I keep on telling you these things, what after us, what after us. So yes, we are working on those things also, along with keeping myself in a good state of mind. We keep on working on these things, like we are associated with community living societies where they are working with neurodiverse children. They are going to organize some societies. They are going to set up some societies where families with neurodiverse children, they can stay together and they can work on their remedial part of things. And moreover, like they can work there also, so that
Oh,
yeah, they can work together. And like working on these things along with financial security,
hmm,
and part of like giving somebody as a assigning somebody as a carer
hmm,
after
hmm,
us. So we are having those type of circles and societies. So we
hmm.
are working along with those societies so that we can be a part of that community building things.
So do you feel held? Do you feel supported when you are with these people who
Yes,
have similar
definitely.
challenges? Hmm.
Yes, so many challenges are there, but still, like, because we all are working together whenever we are facing some issues. Because, like, when we are dealing with a neurodiverse child, we are facing challenges at every level, at every phase. Some children are at the stage of adolescence, some children are very young. So at every stage we are dealing with some other challenges. So we are having all types of communities, like communities with parents who are having young children, communities with elder children, and now working with developing community livings also. So
Okay.
yes, we keep on helping each other, and we keep on organizing many fun loving events also for each other, so that we can make some good friend circles and we can really help others.
So there has someone ever told you, Vinamrata, that okay, let me take charge for a day and you go out and watch a movie? Has that
Yes,
ever happened to
definitely.
you?
Yes.
Wonderful. It's wonderful to know that, and that there is support and that there is great awareness. Wonderful.
Yes, yes.
Um, Smita, I'd like to come to you now. Sometimes a caregiver has to care for someone. It could be a family member, it could be anybody with whom they've had a difficult relationship. And there could be a lot of old baggage. So, how can the caregiver give up these ghosts? I mean, forgiveness is not, I mean, it can be instant, but it is not always that. So how does a person navigate this?
This is such a good question because this is what I see happening in so many situations. And especially when we are looking after family, especially parents or parents in law, usually history would be rife with disagreements or maybe conflicts or maybe even trauma. My first suggestion would be to talk to a professional, maybe a therapist, find a psychologist, or make sure that you're a part of a support group where you can talk. People can understand what you're going through. And again, with forgiveness, forgiveness, you need to be able to listen to yourself, because you will be ready to forgive only when you are ready to forgive. Just because forgiveness is the right thing to do, it doesn't come with a flick of a switch. So of course, what works very well is that every time you go into a self victimization or a martyr narrative based on the past, I think the awareness that you're doing it is a great first step. The second thing you could do is that you realize that that was a point in the past. It's no longer true. That person, with whom you had disagreed is very in a very different circumstance today. Perhaps they are better with you today, or maybe they are even harsher with you today. You don't know. But they are definitely much more helpless, right?
Mm,
So if suppose you were a child and they were a parent and they did something you didn't like, the balance of power has shifted completely, right?
mm,
So whether you forgive or not, the thing to remember is that the moment you're able to forgive them or let go of what has happened in the past, it will set you freer. It will make your heart lighter. So just that willingness, that intention will slowly take you towards that. So I think here that these three things I would strongly recommend: getting the right kind of support system. I would strongly recommend getting professional help, because caregiving,
yes.
um, it is the toughest thing in the world.
Mm,
And usually in India, we take it for granted that somebody will do it. We don't care about that person's life, that person's psychology, that person's emotional state. They need care. So, in my humble opinion, every caregiver deserves a lot of professional and community support.
mm,
Um, and the second thing is to realize that something bad has happened, and if there was trauma, deal with that trauma with a professional, work on it, because unless you release it, you will not be able to forgive. You will keep getting triggered over and over again.
what if the person can't go on and the person is judged for it? What if the person just cannot go on? What does
um,
that person do then?
so they will need to give themselves break. They will have to give themselves a break no matter what, because unless your cup is full, you can't look after anyone else. So you
Mm,
have caregivers need to be taught more than the average person how important self care and self love, like Vasundhara was saying, is. And you know, if the average person needs 10 units of self care and self love, a caregiver needs like 10 times more. So how that person needs, if they need to step back, they need to step back.
mm, mm.
I believe.
Yes, yes. I think
Without,
yes.
if somebody is blaming, I think it's important for the caregiver to prioritize their emotional health above everything.
Hmm. I'd like to ask Vasundhara how she can add to this, because to be able to do this, you also need to create that calming environment, right? To even be able to take a decision like this. So, Vasundhara, how are there some rituals or is there some kind of self talk that can help you with this kind of anchoring when you have to take tough decisions, whether it is giving up or going on? So, how can they anchor themselves?
Well, it is a tough job, and I would highly recommend some peaceful time for yourself. Like the me time where you do the things that you love. It could be as simple as just watching the sunset or rise. It could be as simple as watering your plants, talking to them, lighting your diya, or going for a walk by the beach or wherever you are. Finding your peace, being alone, not with a phone, not with a friend, but just with yourself, own self. Getting centered, that helps filling your cup. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the other three practices, the asan, pranayam, and dhyan, meditation, definitely fills your cup for sure. Eating good food, which most caregivers neglect. Very mindful of, are you eating raw? Are you eating fresh? Are you eating fruits which are high on the nutrition value? Not that only tastes good, but also nourishes you, because food makes a huge difference in your energy levels. It is part of yoga. It's
Yes.
not different. It's not, yoga is not just practices on the mat. It's a lifestyle with where food is an integral part. And to add to Smita, a practice that I have been practicing that has helped me forgive uh, people close to me, whom I felt in my mind had done
Mm,
me wrong, has
mm,
been the practice of mirroring, the mirror work. That is looking to the mirror and then acknowledging and accepting who I am, the way I am, because the work starts within, not what the world has been calling you and thinking of you as. That has helped me immensely in my process to forgive the other. And the second one is the practice of um, uh, doing the empty chair work, where I imagine the other person who I think has done me wrong sitting across me in an empty chair, and I talk it out with that person as if that person is sitting in that empty chair in front of me, and I mm, pour my heart out. I complain, I criticize, and I just wait for the other person to speak back to me, and
mm.
I hear stuff, and it helps. It helps in knowing what the other person's world has been. And it works with divine intervention and that flow, the blessing. You hear the answers that you need in order to move on. So these two practices, it just helps me forgive and build a bigger, larger perspective. And it takes time. Please know that. It's not going to happen overnight, but it just works wonderfully. And today, I just share beautiful relationships with everyone. It's just so
How
easy.
wonderful is that? In fact, I must ask Vinamrata what her sanctuary is. Vinamrata, uh,
Yes.
how do you retreat for calm and serene moments?
Yes. So taking out me time. Yes, as
How do you
Vasundhara
do
said.
that? What do
Yes.
you do?
Yes. So following my passion. I'm really following my passions, which are actually going to explore some nature, plantation drives. I love nature. I am associated with some NGOs, so I keep on planting trees, exploring nature. I love going on trekking. So these types of things recharge me, and I start afresh. And I love a lot of reading stuff. I keep on reading a lot. So these things recharge me, and really it calms me down.
Do you ever have a good cry?
Yes, yes,
And there is catharsis. You allow yourself that, right? And it's a strength, not a weakness, like people believe, that you feel so
yes.
light after having a good cry, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
and I will not deny that cry every 15 days. I cry.
Okay, and that's fine. And
Yes,
in the sense, um, people cringe when they say that. It doesn't have to be that. In fact, it is a release and it must be used. And we are actually coming to a close. And Vasundhara, may I request you to take us through a very short, calming meditation as an ending note?
I would love that.
So, may we begin?
Sure. I invite you all to sit comfortably wherever you are. If you're wearing glasses, please remove them. If you can, sit cross legged. If you're sitting on a chair, put your feet on the ground. Relax your body, close your eyes, relax your shoulders, relax your back. Inhale deeply and exhale. Two more times. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. And bring your mind to your breaths. Just notice, observe how you're breathing. While you're inhaling, notice that you're inhaling. As you exhale, just observe that you're exhaling. You could be breathing shallow or taking long breaths. Notice the temperature of your breath. Is it hot, cold? Is it a long breath? Is it a short breath? Just notice. Now take your mind to the top of your head, the crown, the Sahasrara, and notice what sensations you feel over there. Is it hot, cold? Is it tickling? Is it pulsating, vibrating? Is it throbbing? Is it heavy, light? Just notice. And with lots of love, just open this crown to the free flow of the universe to pour into you through this opening in your head. Allow the magnanimous, beautiful, pure energy of the universe to enter into you through this opening into your head, your scalp, brain, the rest of your head, nourishing you, healing you, calming you, as it floods down to your face and in every crevice of your face, flooding you with lots of love, abundance, flowing further down into your neck, shoulders, relaxing your shoulders and taking away all the weight of it, relieving you, taking it all away, all that doesn't belong to you, healing, nourishing, going further down into your arms, upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, fingers, palms, allowing your hands to release the unwanted and filling it with its vibrant flow, the white pulsating light, freeing you. Allow the energy to travel from the neck to your chest, filling your heart, your lungs with this healing energy, releasing all the pent up emotions from your heart, letting it go, filling it with love and harmony, peace and compassion, filling your lungs with all the beautiful energy, every alveoli dancing with joy, thanking you for allowing this energy to enter into it. Going further down to your upper ab, middle ab, belly, your womb, the gift of the universe, the power from where you create, the power where you intuit, where you connect with the universe even more deeply. Allow this energy to fill your belly, your womb, clean it off of all the unwanted debris, and fill it up with this abundant joy, this oneness with the divine light. Feel connected. Know that the universe loves you. Allow the energy to travel from the upper back to the middle back to the lower back, from the top of your spine, circling around every vertebrae down to your tailbone. Allow it to further flow down to your buttocks, to your thighs, knees, lower legs, ankles, feet, toes, tip of your toes, flooding your lower back, your limbs to the tip of your toes, allowing your limb to heal itself. That which takes you to places, allows you to travel over the world, flooding with amazing energy from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, from the top of your head to the tip of your fingers, flooding, flowing freely, pulsating, vibrating, gushing, rushing, filling you up with the amazing, the vibrant, the purest, the most loving light. Letting go, pushing away, pushing out all the unwanted, and filling you up. May you touch with this abundant energy that has filled you all those that you love. Slowly, gently come back to your body. Notice your breath, and very lovingly, whenever you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you so much for that wonderful meditation, Vasundhara. And on that note, I would like to thank Vinamrata, Vasundhara, and
Thank you
Smita
so much.
for your time, for this wonderful conversation, and for your wisdom and insights. May all beings be happy. May all of them enjoy optimum mental wellness. Thank you.